Hello and welcome to Real Actors, Real Answers, the podcast where you are the star. Today, I want to introduce you to Minaownlee. That's her name, Minaownlee. She is an actor. She's an author. She's a director. She is a producer, a scriptwriter. She's like this super duper amazing creative individual that I have the privilege of introducing you, and I've met her before. And Minaownlee, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So, are you in the tropical jungle back there or what?
I am. The power of green screen.
You are, well, semi-tropical. Where are you from?
Well, I'm from New York,
Right.
but I was a resident of Florida for quite some time.
Okay, because they do have some sort of tropical atmosphere out there. So,
Oh, yeah.
so tell me about you. Tell us about you. How did you start in this crazy business called acting?
Yeah, well, theater and the arts was always in my life. My father is a world-renowned sculptor. He studied in colleges and everything, and his medium is studied. He's live casting. So the arts was always in my life. And I grew up in New York City. So
New York is cultural. I grant that. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. So the arts are always in your life over here, especially at the time growing up in the 80s and 90s. There was always theater there, and not so much film. There was film and television, obviously, but theater was big, big, big in our schools. So that's where I got started. Actually, was doing musical theater in the third grade.
Musical theater. What was your first musical?
So I was playing Shaka Zulu in Shaka Zulu.
Oh, the actual role.
Yes, so I played the male Shaka Zulu in the third grade.
Did you have to audition, or how did that work?
Yep. So we auditioned, and it didn't matter what your race, gender, or creed, and it was just to tell the story. And it was a third grade play, so it's a little different. But that was my first male role. I ended up playing 2 male roles in my lifetime, and that was my first one.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Were you afraid? What was it like in the third grade with no experience, but in front of people?
So, for me, I'm so used to being in the arts because of my dad. I was always around people. So I had the luxury that my father brought the art beauty to our neighborhood. We lived in a very ghetto, gang-infested neighborhood, but we were protected by those same gang members, number one. And they would throw block parties where my dad and his art partner would do their sculpture work right outside in the Bronx at 171st and Walton Avenue. So it was great. I was always around people. So performing was like second nature.
Kind of like Judy Garland. I mean, she started out when she was 6 or something like that.
Yeah.
So you were introduced early thanks to your father.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Used to being around people all the time.
That's good. You were like born into the acting.
Yeah.
Tell us more about this second male role. You got me hooked here.
So my second male role was Shakespeare, The Comedy of Errors. And I was Antipholus of something or other. I don't remember. But it was one of the male twins, and I'll never forget the role because I had to say, I think the art and a but the actual word, ASS.
That's hilarious. Well, it's very prolific and it's very deliberate.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll never forget that role because I remember being petrified to say ASS and telling my mom, I have to say this word.
What was her reaction?
She was like, "Oh, you're just performing. Just say the word."
Right. Yeah. No, I understand. I've done that line too. I had to play a role once, and it was a little bit of swearing. Hell and things like that. And I said the same thing to my mom. It's like, and she said, "That's not you. That's a character." I go, "Oh, yeah, you're right." Yeah, that's funny.
Yep. So I very confidently on stage said, "I think the art a butt, but I said the actual word.
That's funny. I like that. Are they record? Do you have them on,
I used to
VHS?
years ago, but who knows where those, because it was VHS back in the day. So
Yeah, I remember those. Um, yeah, I remember them well. So where did you go from then? I mean, were you hooked, like a fish?
yeah, so I did musical theater for a very long time, and then I allowed distractions of life to distract me and pull away from my actual dreams. Like everyone's like, you need a real job. This is not going to pay the bills, blah, blah, blah. Even though I made very real money, it wasn't a real job.
They were ne'er-do-wells. They were people that had your best interests in mind, maybe. But where did you? So you were distracted from your path.
Yes,
So
yes.
how did you get back on?
So I ended up so I have a permanent spine injury from the Air Force, number one. So I ended up in a car accident that really damaged the surgery that I had for me to walk. And I ended up not being able to walk correctly for almost a year.
Oh
Um,
my!
yeah. And then when I walked again, my ex-husband at the time, he was like, all you've ever talked about is wanting to be an actress. You still do acting, like you learned how to video edit, you do all this stuff. Like I started learning special effects while on bed rest, everything. Like
Oh, listen to you, die hard. Okay.
yes, I was not gonna be on bed rest and not be productive. I cannot not be productive. It drives me crazy. So I did that. So when I started walking again, I went to what I knew, which was musical theater, and I performed for Clue the musical in Orlando, Florida. And Mary Beth Finley, she was my very first director in Orlando and my very first play in Orlando, because I had done musical theater in New York until then, and I was Mrs. Peacock.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. I know Clue. A musical, though. It's not normally a musical as far as
Yep.
I know.
Yep, it's a musical. It doesn't get performed very often. It's not very well known. But what I loved about it was that she was such a fan of the movie that she implemented parts of the movie into the musical. So
Wow.
that was like, it was awesome. And I got to be the murderer 3 times.
Oh, I'm so jealous. That's fun. Because no one knows that
No.
you're until because
Yeah,
it's
so
Clue.
you pick it. So how that worked was you got to pick just like you would an actual Clue the musical. So 3 audience members come out, they pick the room, a murderer, and a weapon, and we had a way of knowing which one of us was it. So when we found out, then we would change our lines to fit the murder.
So there was a bit of improv there.
Yeah. So we had like two sets of lines we had to learn. One when we wasn't a murderer, and one when we were. So
Wow, that's a challenge. I love it though.
yeah, it was great because they thought I was the person who unalived people every single show.
That's funny. Do you have any formal training, as in going to university or anything?
So I studied in school in New York City, and I've always trained. I've trained with different people. Even Mary Griffith, and dang, I can't remember her husband's name now, but he was the cousin of Andy Griffith.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and he trained me. And then up until recently, I trained with Dustin Felder and Louis Dancel. And Dustin Felder used to coach Will Smith. May he sleep in peace, Dustin Felder. And then Louis Dancel took over being my acting coach. Really, really grew my talent, grew my auditioning skills by leaps and bounds, meeting these 2 people, 2 incredible men. And then Sarah Mornell, I also trained with her, and she was like, she really helped me fine tune some of the other things.
Was this in New York?
No, so those 3 were in Atlanta, Georgia.
Aha.
Oh, and I also studied with, dang, I can't believe, Truthful Acting in Orlando, Florida.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, phenomenal guys. They teach you a certain method in acting and stuff like that. So it was great. You always got to train. It's a business, and you always got to learn, and you got to keep your brain fresh.
And very sharp, yes, because the life, like you said earlier, it's distracting. And it's not always people. It's circumstances. It's things. It's, I say with great compassion, it's your, the back injury that you suffered. You can use anything that you go through for a character.
Yes.
I.e., a person with a back injury. You could play that.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
I'm sorry it happened. I wish it didn't. However, it happened. So what are you going to do with it? How
Yes.
can it work for you?
Yes, because there's certain mannerisms that you would do that you wouldn't really truly know unless you experience it for yourself.
That is so well said. I love how you just said that. Yeah. I mean, if you wanted a 5-star restaurant, okay, we want you to play a waiter or waitress, right? If you don't know how to hold that tray, if you don't know how to serve, that little mannerisms,
Right.
you're going to look like, unless it's a sheer comedy, you won't know how to do it.
It's going to be wrong. Correct.
Right, exactly.
Correct. And people forget those mannerisms, even with those basic stuff. So like when you're drinking, let's say, an alcoholic beverage, people forget how you actually drink an alcoholic beverage. How many times, if you really pay attention, those who don't really know how to act, or not how to act, but they don't have that training.
Right.
And they don't do the sip, or they don't do the wince, or whatever little mannerism you have when you actually drink alcohol.
Right. Like there's different glasses.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know how to hold them, okay? Mm-hmm. And you don't necessarily knock them back. There's some kind of drink that I'm a cement mixer.
Yeah.
Of course, I had that once, and it's like, what the heck is going on in my mouth? Okay, if you don't know that, then you don't, you sip it like water. It's not going to be convincing.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. Those little mannerisms, like you said, you have to bring that to the forefront of your mind and embrace that if that applies to the character.
Yeah, and that's why training is so important, because you constantly have to train your brain for that. That's how come somebody like those who've seen Bridgerton, and when Colin did that carriage scene, his very mannerism was when he pulled when he was fixing the dress, he didn't touch her dress with the fingers he used in her intimate area. That was such a fine detail that added to the scene that's not something you could tell somebody to do. It instinctively.
Right.
And it added to it. And that made people talk about the scene, which drew people to the TV show. It was like, did you see Colin, the way he used his fingers? He didn't touch her dress.
Right.
Things like that. It's so simple and can mean so much.
It's an art form. It's like fine artist. Say Bob Ross, Pretty Little Trees. Okay, he's gone now, but people make fun of him. But you know what? He makes a beautiful portrait. He makes beautiful landscapes. He did, and it takes a fine touch. Okay, yes. With the brush in order to get it to look like an actual tree, for example. And it's the same thing with what you're saying. There's certain ways that you have to consciously do this or do that, do the business of the scene. Okay, where it's going to come off authentic because people get it faster than that. Yes. If it looks bad, it's probably because it was.
Yes.
Yes,
people think acting is easy. It's just lines. Oh, you're just saying lines. But it's not. People know when you're acting.
No, that's very true.
Yeah, and people are ruthless. They'll be like, "Did you see them? You could tell that they were performing."
Right. You don't want that. No, and that takes, like you said, a lot of training and things. What has been your favorite role up till now?
Whew. I honestly love every role, but I think my most impactful role that I feel was Mixed Emotions Volume 2. And that movie was basically the silent, now it's not so silent, but I want to say the stain between the Puerto Rican and Black community. That is an unspoken thing of you don't mingle. Right, you don't mingle with those people on both sides. I'm not trying to say anything that's like from cancel culture, but that's the silent thing in a lot of our community. You You don't date that black boy. You don't date that Puerto Rican girl, that Mexican girl, kind of thing. And it was almost like a love story between a Puerto Rican girl who was Afro-Latina and a black boy. And I was the mother.
Oh,
and yeah, I played the mother in the role. And the reason why I love that role so much, because so many people reached out to me and was like, we don't have this kind of representation. It's so rare to find this kind of representation. And I felt seen seeing you perform.
Wow.
I did not think anything like that. Like, I think to have that kind of impact, you would have to be a Jennifer Lopez, a Zoe Saldana, a Zendaya, Denzel Washington. I'm just trying to come up with people. You would have to be that. But for Minaownlee to infect somebody's life and then have them say, you made me feel seen. That was huge. Everything to me. Oh, I'm getting emotional.
I can tell. What I noticed about, I was watching your acting reel, IMDb. I'm going to say this is the biggest thing I can say. You act natural. There's not acting. You draw me in. The movements, you're authentic. It's real. It's the opposite of fake acting.
Thank you.
When you get a compliment like that, because you don't think, I'm doing this for a compliment. No. You're doing this because you love it and it's a part of you. It's like breathing. Yes. Or one of your organs in your body. And then it's a icing on the cake when someone says, wow, you moved me. You were better than this, better than J-Lo. You were whatever is going on in the scene,
Yeah, thank you.
I love your energy, and you're vulnerable to this. It's a part of you. Can you imagine doing anything else?
Huh?
Can you imagine doing anything else?
No, I love this so much. And every single time I've tried to leave it and I've tried to enter the regular work world, the regular work world might work a little bit, but I always somehow, some way get drawn back into the arts. And I know this is my destiny. This is where I'm meant to help people. This is where I make an impact in the world. I love it to my core, in my soul. I love it.
And that's your mission. That's your purpose.
Yeah.
Respect for all jobs. But if you don't like it, why are you there? Well, I'm there for the money. Okay. I have to say this, Wayne Dyer, I don't know if you heard of that name before, but he said this, he proposed this question, okay? I'm going to come back to you. He proposed this question, he says, what if there was no such thing as money?
Right.
And, he got different reactions to that. What would you do if everything was taken care of completely? Okay? Your family was taken care of, everything is taken care of, money was not an issue at all. What would you do with your time? Hello, And once you get in that mindset, then I'd be free to do what I want, my desires, right? Same thing like what you said. You see other people and say things are not like you want it to be financially, okay? Mm-hmm. Then you're tempted to, hiatus, okay? Yeah. Which is I'm going to say is very dangerous.
Yes.
Leave your heart in this, okay, you beat on the shelf for a while, I'll give it to you. Okay. Yes. But then it makes you become more creative, right? Okay, well, what can I do? Can I do a little bit more? Can I audition for this? Can I write my own script? What can I do to generate more income, more social media presence, more real face-to-face presence? There's always something that you can do because you have unlimited potential.
Right.
It's a stretching game.
I'm probably the only person to join the Air Force, and my goal was to join their theatrical group.
Wait a minute, Air Force, they had a theatrical group?
Yes, so in the Air Force, I don't remember the name because, that was many moons ago, but they have a group that goes around the world performing. They sing at different countries, different events and everything like that.
Bob Hope.
Yeah, and when my recruiter at the time, because he's like, well, you're an actress, you'd love to act. Did you know the Air Force has such and such? I was like, what? Sign me up.
Yeah. They're people too,
And my mom was like, are you really joining the Air Force to, and your goal, I mean, yes, I had a job to do, but my goal was eventually to transition into that. Unfortunately, I ended up getting hurt and had to leave, but that was my goal. I was going to perform with the Air Force as an airman.
That's creative. I mean, if you go back to, you've heard of Bob Hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who hasn't? But the idea, he would go, as you know, with Sophia Loren and different people that came on. He would go to different, kind of dangerous places, Vietnam and Guam and all that, to entertain the troops. Okay, why? They need the morale. They need to be a human being. They're not just soldiers, for crying out loud. And I'm pleasantly shocked that you had that experience. You're joining the Navy. Yes, in the Navy. You're there. Where's the theater? Where's the people? I love that. You didn't lose yourself.
No.
No, you took yourself with you.
Yep. And every job I do, there's always a way to perform. When you're talking to people, you have to be a chameleon. Even if you're doing retail, you have to be a chameleon. Life in itself is a performance, which is why it's called art imitating life.
That's a movie, Imitation of Life, with Grace Kelly, I think is the name. Yeah. No, that's very true. Say that again slow. That was very profound. Okay, can you say it again?
Life is a performance, which is why it's called art imitating life.
Yeah, art imitating life. Now, sometimes we drop the ball.
Yeah.
You have, I'm sure I have, and things, but she can pick it up again.
All the time.
All the time. So let me ask you something, Minaownlee. Do you do something every day to foster and to nurture this creative heartbeat of yours?
Yes, every day I'm doing something. I'll either read a book or I'll create a TikTok or I'm writing something, or I'll even watch something as simple as a film or a TV show. And I don't watch it as a fan or a viewer. I watch it. How did they perform this? Who was in the room? What activity did they do? What did the props look like? How many camera angles were there? I always do that. And believe it or not, I wasn't always like that. Miley Cyrus taught me that. Not me as in me meeting her, but watching her, because my son loved the Disney Channel. And that's when I learned about Hannah Montana. And I was reading about her, because I always try to read about successful people. It's not just, people talk about Nepo babies. You could be a Nepo baby all day long. You could be a Nepo baby of a police officer, and your police officer father got you a job. It's the same thing. At the end of the day, it's up to you to keep that. And that girl would get up every day at 6 o'clock in the morning to sing, to practice, to do what she got to do. You are not just given these things. And even if you are the first time, you have to maintain that momentum. Because if you're not marketable, nobody wants you. I don't care who is your mama or father. Nobody wants you, because it's about what? Making the production money. And if you can't make the money, guess what? You're not valuable. And she made sure she was valuable. I said, you know what? If that little girl could do something every day, because at the time she was a little girl, then my grown self needs to get up and do every day.
I love that. No. You speak my language. I'm taken aback, because what you say is so true. It's so profound. You have to nurture it like a baby. You can't live on your past performance. That was good. Okay. Right. But that has nothing to do with now.
Right.
Okay. What are you going to do today or this month or this new year or whatever? It's a constant creating.
Constantly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's with any job, really, any job. You can't work in a school system and you want to be a principal and expect not to improve as a teacher.
Wow.
They're not just going to give you the principal. What have you done as a teacher to merit the ability to be able to be a principal?
Right, exactly. You know? It's like going to high school as a freshman and asking for your diploma now. Well, no, you have to go through the 4 years.
Right, you have to do the work. Yeah. You know, respect to the teachers, by the way. In
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Minaownlee, what do you like better, if you can choose this? You like theater or film better?
Theater.
How come?
Theater. The energy you get off the people is amazing, you know, and it's right then and there. It's almost that instant gratification. You know, you get that instant gratification in theater, speaking to the people after the show, sometimes getting the feedback afterwards, knowing how they feel, because this is really why we do this performance, is to make an impact in people's lives. And it, you know, it's a sense of purpose. We all want a sense of purpose. So when somebody comes and was like, man, you totally hit Mrs. Cratchit like in Harlem in 1970. That's exactly how they would have performed. Or you reminded me of my pastor.
That's when you affect people.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And you trigger hopefully a positive memory, depends on the role, or you made them feel that sadness or that trauma. And they're like, man, I felt that way. It's being seen. People want to be seen.
You're talking about the opposite of ego, aren't you?
It's being a servant for others.
Yes, exactly. You know, because the moment, and it can happen in a blink of an eye, I've had it happen. When you're on stage, you tell me if it has happened to you. You're on stage, and just a little thought, okay, 2%, and you're thinking about yourself. All of a sudden, you're listening. You're hearing your cues, and you're hearing the person talk back to you, the character, and then it's like slipping on a little banana peel, and you forget where you're at.
Yes.
And you're like, what's my line? It takes that pure dedication. Ego has no business.
None.
You know, elbowing you. You got to consciously just throw it off.
Yes, you have to cater to your partner. You must. Your partner is debating. I mean, is depending on you. You know what I mean? This is not a you thing. It's a team thing. And it's always about balance and respecting your partner, respecting their performance, as well as them respecting yours, so that you make this beautiful artwork.
Absolutely. I always like to say there's a word me, which is the M. You flip it over, it's we. Okay?
Yes.
It's about we. It's not about me. Okay?
Right. And we equals winning.
Oh, that's another one. We equals winning. I like that. It's very good. What are you currently working on right now?
So right now I have a few auditions, major auditions, which I'm excited about. And I'm also working on an audiobook for my friend Kelly Weaver. I'm performing one of his characters in his audiobook.
So you're a voiceover too?
Oh yeah, I've done lots of voiceovers.
Sweet. How is that different than film or theater?
Because you're by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're by yourself, so there's nobody there to like get that energy or that feedback from. So like when you and I are talking, we're engaging in a conversation. I can read your mannerisms. I can go against the way you speak. So like if you suddenly drop an octave and you give me an attitude, I know you're unhappy, and I know, okay, now we're going to settle this, David, you know?
Okay.
And I know that automatically. Versus in a voiceover, you have to imagine what their performance is. So now you got to do the work, right? So now you got to write it out and do the work, the backstory, you know, how am I going to give this energy? How would this person react back to me? And how would I react if they did it this way? And then you have to do several versions of said performance and hope that the director likes that. So if they don't like them, then they're like, no, you did it too hard, or you did it too happy, or you were too Mary Poppins here, you know, and you have to redo it. So that's what makes it a little more difficult, I feel. You really have to use your imagination.
Yeah, you have to be a kid again.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yeah. You're an author. You told me that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a published author just this year.
Congratulations. What is it?
So I wrote 2 children's books. 5 years ago, I was trying to do a YouTube channel called the Annie Corner Show to help kids want to engage in reading and loving to read. That's how I got my son to read, was I performed the book for him. And it was my mother's idea. I did it. And in reading these fairy tales, I had realized there was only 2 cultures predominantly showcased in all the fairy tales. And I was very upset about that, because I was like, Where are the Japanese fairy tales? Where are the Puerto Rican fairy tales? Where are the Colombian fairy tales? Where are, especially the Puerto Rican ones, we just had these, it was always like these detrimental moments, like these scary moments. Where are the Muslim? I'm just coming up with different cultures. Where are those? Because you couldn't really find those 5 years ago. And I was like, you know what? You need to be the change you want to see. And I refused to do that show anymore until I was able to showcase more cultures than just the main two here in America. And then one day, last year, end of last year, I went through some very heartbreaking, detrimental stuff that were personal. And I went through my moment. I had to heal, and I invested all that hurt, all that depression, all that anger, all that feeling of helplessness into these books. And that's how I created and illustrated the two children's books. The first one is Layla Bella, a Puerto Rican Cinderella story.
Wow, cool.
And the second one is Legend of the Hummingbird, a Taino myth. And I illustrated and wrote both of them, in hopes that other kids could see themselves and go, wow, look, they look like me.
Where can we find those books?
They are both right now on Amazon. You would have to write my government name, Ann-Marie Torres, because for some reason that's the way Amazon has it set up. But okay. You can find it on Amazon. If you look up Ann-Marie Torres, both books will come up.
Sweet. That's amazing. Did you do the illustrations too?
Yep, sure did.
Oh, now I have to say, I'm an artist too, and I love illustrating, cartooning, all of that, portraits, everything. That's a big job. First you wrote it, and then the words have to correspond with, of course, it's like on stage, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you have to make sure that the expression, which is still, okay, on the page, matches, so they can get an emotional feeling from what they're reading. And children's books, are they only for kids?
No, anybody can read it.
Who buys the books?
The adults.
Yeah, so they have to, it goes through their hands. Oh, this has a theme, honey. We need to get this. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm going to order your books. I love children's books.
Thank you.
Since I was a child, you don't have to be a child in order to like children's books.
No, yeah. And what's awesome was Layla Bella ended up becoming #1 in the Latino folklore section within 2 months of it coming out. I don't know how that happened, and I'm so blessed. But in the Latino folklore section in Amazon, it became #1. Super exciting.
Amazing. I love it. I'm just going over all of your accomplishments, and more so though, your energy is very contagious in a good way, and your love for your love for the arts. I'll just put it that way. Where can we find you? So
you can find me on any social media platform under Minaownlee, Mina, only OWNLEE. So okay. If you type in Minaownlee, I will be the only Minaownlee on social medias.
Now I know, but my audience doesn't. How did you come up with that name?
Yes. So my government name is Ann-Marie Torres, which I love. Okay. My name, Ann-Marie, comes from the TV show That Girl, where Mary Tyler Moore was an actress. Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
So I told my mother, you made me an actress by calling me Ann-Marie, duh. But Ann-Marie Torres, I noticed, wasn't really making any impact at all in the industry at the time. You're talking years ago, like even people like, I don't remember his name, but Fred something, Buffy's husband. Nobody knew, Sarah Michelle Gellar, her husband, nobody knew that he was Latino because he had to change his name.
Oh. So
that it doesn't come off Latino, right? So Ann-Marie Torres, I know that's the way it was, and it's still a little sticky here and there, but
I know.
Even Zoe Saldana, her name is Zoe Saldana. Like she has a a lot of people are like, oh, she's Latina.
That is funny.
So Ann-Marie wasn't going anywhere. And I was like, you know what? Lady Gaga changed her name. And that's how her career changed. Mina is very big in the gaming world. What if I took Mina from the gaming world and implemented her into the acting world, which is what I did initially. And I was just supposed to be Mina. I thought I was cute. I was like, oh yeah, like Cher, Madonna. You know?
Okay.
I'm
cool.
just Mina.
Right.
Unfortunately, when you don't have any status, people don't really pay attention to any of that. They think it's stupid. They think you're dumb. So the final straw was when I was doing an audition for a Christian production. And they took my headshot, they reviewed it back and forth, and was like, where's the last name? And I was like, it's Minaownlee, just Mina, like Cher, Madonna, Prince. And she had the nastiest look of disdain. I was crushed. And I looked at her and I was like, you know what? I'm not interested in auditioning at all. Like, I don't care if I'm getting paid or not, to be honest with you. I'm not going to be disrespected. That is my firm boundary. You're not going to treat me like I'm nothing. So I left that audition. And I was so angry that I went to Facebook and I was like, I am sick of this. I am sick of people asking me what my last name is. So I went to Facebook and I wrote Minaownlee, but Only, because I already say it anyway. When people ask me, I say, oh, it's Minaownlee, just Mina.
Right.
But Facebook was like, Only is not a real name. So I was like, you know what, Facebook? I'm going to be Minaownlee, by golly. So I was like, well, I own my name because I have an EIN. So I own my name. So I wrote OWN. And then I love Bruce Lee. And Bruce Lee says, be like water. Change with the course of the river. Be like water. So I said, I'm going to be like water. Lee, Minaownlee.
I like that. That's very clever. You fought for your stage name.
Yes, I sure did. And since then, here I am. All these years later.
I love that. I love that story. You invested in yourself. Sometimes that's lonely, but you know what? If you lose yourself, I've done that before. It takes so many years sometimes to find yourself again. Yes. Once you find yourself, don't lose yourself again. Plus, you find other people that, think like you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's about, you need to surround yourself around like-minded individuals, because if not, you're going to drown. And like-minded individuals that have your best intention, because they could be other people in the industry or whatever job you're in. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're like-minded, because people have a crab in a pot mentality. And like crabs in a pot where they're trying to climb out, they're trying to pull that other crab down.
They are.
And they're trying to take you down. No, you're not getting out of here before me.
Right.
You do not need to be around those kind of people or that energy.
Now
there's room for everybody.
now, crabs, you have to give them credit for who they are, how God made them, okay? However, we're not crabs. So don't you know, if you make a chain of some sort, lean a little bit, everybody can get out?
Yes.
And it will help you up and out?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what they don't understand. Like, if you go to the grocery supermarket, you don't see one bread, right? You don't see Wonder Bread didn't go, you know what, there's all these breads here. I'm not going to make the Wonder Bread company. No, you have 25 or 30 options of bread.
Okay.
So be bread, be Wonder, be Sara Lee, be gluten-free. There is room for everybody.
Okay, you need to do commercials. If you haven't done commercials, I can tell right now. You need to do commercials.
I've done a few.
Okay, really? Okay, that's what I see. I hear it. A little bit of stand-up, too. Try it. We only have so many wake-ups.
I know.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. So we can find you on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, right?
Yeah, Instagram. I am on LinkedIn, but I don't really use that. Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. However, even though I did say that I am the only one on social media, it did become, I am a brand. And I did find out this year there is a music company and another company actually using my name. So I got to do something about that. And they're actually using Minaownlee. And like the way, and nobody ever had that name because it's a brand. So now I got to go back and be like, listen here, Bucky.
You have to watch over your name.
Yeah. So if you don't see my face, it is not I.
I like that. I always say it's show business.
Mm-hmm.
You show what you have built over the years, or just starting out wherever you're at. That's your talent, that's your passion. But it is a business, even if you're only doing, no, I don't say only. I don't say it like this, but community theater. I love community theater. Okay, that's where I started out, and I still go on occasion back to it. There's still a certain business, a rapport. You have to be there on time. Don't call in sick if you're not sick.
Right. Hello.
Yeah, exactly. Because and you got to be there during heck week, tech week,
Yes.
heck week, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. It is a business. Treat it like a business. Treat your acting career wherever you're at like a $2 million business. And if you get that mindset going on, you're going to devote a lot more time to it.
Right. Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
how many of your favorite major actors you heard had a death in the family and they still finished their performance? They still performed. The difference between them and you is that resilience to keep going no matter what's happening, which is why they're at what they are.
Right.
Yeah, you got to take the first step. Absolutely. You got to take the first step, and you're already doing better than most people who have taken no steps at all. Take that first step and you keep going no matter what is going on. If the world is falling around you, you put your blinders on and you keep going, and that's how you make it.
You have so much inside of you. I got to say this too. Public speaking. Yes, seriously, you encourage, and this is, in person, your energy. You would encourage a lot of people not to, give up their dream.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, you got to take a risk in life. The only risk you actually risk is the one that you never took. You will think about it for the rest of your life.
Ow, is that a dagger I see before me? Ow, oh, yeah. No, but it's true. What you said is truth. It's like,
yeah,
there's no getting around that.
No.
Listen, Minaownlee, I want to thank you for being on Real Actors, Real Answers. This was beyond fun and very enlightening, and you shine so bright. You really do. Your soul comes right through your eyes, and your smile and the energy is just wonderful. I'd like to work with you someday on a film or something.
Thank you. It doesn't come without scars. People don't like bright lights, but what? Wear sunglasses.
Right, there you go. You just got these things coming out over and over. I love it. Okay. You look for that silver lining.
That too. It took me a long time to get here, and I'm at peace.
Amen. It's not a bad thing to look for a silver lining. What are you looking for? A gray cloud.
Yeah.
Why?
Right. Who wants to be gray?
Right, exactly.
Be colorful, baby. Be Mary. But that's why I had a friend who used to tell you are just like Mary Poppins.
What a compliment.
Yep.
Yeah. Just a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
That's right.
We'll take some sugar with it. Yep. Stop complaining.
That's what I used to tell him. Do you need some sugar, honey?
I love it. I love it. Keep that personality. Just, don't hide your light. All right. Well, again, thank you for being on Real Actors, Real Answers. God bless. And you have blessed me today. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.